Today I have a book review. Hey guys, it's Janie. Welcome back to the Bookworm Buddies. Today I'm doing a book review for you. I haven't done one in a while. So I'm going to be reviewing Too Late by Colleen Hoover. I read this book on my Kindle, and I really enjoyed this book. I've been reading a lot of Colleen Hoover lately, it seems, and I love the flow of her books, and I've really been leaning towards more romance. So she's usually the first one I think of, and I have a long way to go, though, to finishing up all her books. So, anyway, I've seen a lot of people talking about this book and how they say that this is one of their least favorite Colleen Hoover books. And I can't say for me that it's a least favorite. I actually really enjoyed it. Anyway, the gist of the story is you have Sloane, and she did not have a very good upbringing. It's her and her mom, and she's got brothers, but her mom is more or less outside of the house as often as she can be, partying or drugs or what have you, and this leaves Sloane kind of the one responsible for her brothers. And one of her brothers is he's got a really bad form of autism, and then on top of that, he has other issues as well. So they finally put her brother in a home care facility so that he can get better care, and she doesn't have to worry about him being with her mother because her mother just really doesn't care. So that happens, and now Sloane sees how she can really begin her life. She wants to go to college. She wants to be more social. You know, all those things that 18-year-olds want to get started with. So that all takes place. She does get to start college. She meets Asa. Asa is not one of your run-of-the-mill good guys. He is a college student as well, but he is a drug lord. He's a drug dealer, but Sloane looks at him as someone who loves her, and he takes care of her, and he just does good things for her and all that kind of stuff. This is what you're feeling from her when you start this book. And she ends up in the same house as him. They're exclusively dating now. He's got all his druggy friends there. He does his deals there and this and that. And then enters Carter. I'm going to tell you this one little tidbit because you learn it relatively soon in the book. Carter is an undercover police officer along with Dalton, and those are their code names, and they go here because they're trying to build a case against Asa because he's a drug lord. Sloane knows nothing about it. She doesn't know. She thinks he's another one of the bad guys, and he's just acting like he likes her, and he's being nice to her, and he can't let her in on the whole thing because that'll break his cover. So she's just like, oh, he's just like the rest, but she can't help but feel stuff for Carter that she knows will cause issues for her. Okay, the biggest thing about this book is the content of the story. There is sex in this book, which, you know, most of Colleen Hoover's books, there is a couple of scenes, you know, explicit sometimes, but not over the top. Well, in this case, the scenes teeter on abusive. That's all I'm going to say about that. So if you have any issues with that kind of sexual encounters or in books, then you might not enjoy this for that part of it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm stuttering on this part because let's talk about Sloane. Sloane is a very smart girl. She is very smart, but she doesn't know when to use those smarts. I feel like there's moments where she is just the strongest person you would ever know, and then there's points where she's super weak. And I feel like she's also pretty gullible and naive. I know a lot of this probably stems from her life growing up, and every step she takes is just something else that's negative. She doesn't have a very positive life until she actually gets into college, and then even then it's just a mix of everything that you could imagine, anything negative. It just full force. She just is always up against this kind of stuff, and she's always having to fight this stuff, and I just think it just gets to be too much for her. And I just let me go to, okay, so you get to the end of the book, all right? You read the epilogue, and you're sitting there and you're reading it, and you're like, okay, because it's a very long epilogue, and you just don't know what to expect. And then when you get to the end of it, like, this weight is just lifted off your shoulders, and you're just like, okay, not bad. I mean, I can deal with this kind of an ending. And you turn the page, or the Kindle, or whatever. I don't know if this is the same on physical book as it is on the Kindle. But then you're presented with this prologue. And you're like, prologue? And after reading it, I was just seething. I should never have read the prologue. But I think she put the prologue at the end of the story so that you learn Asa step by step. You don't get him all in your face at one time where you will say, okay, I know this guy and I'm not going to read the book. So I think she puts that prologue at the end like that, so you will just keep reading and learn about who Asa is. And Asa didn't really have a great life growing up either. And I'm not going to get into all that. I'll let you guys read that part of it. So you read this prologue. At this point, I am just pissed off. Like, Colleen, what are you doing? What are you doing to me right now? Because this whole book just rips out your heart, puts it back, and then rips it out again. Reading this book, everything about it, just ugh. So then the prologue comes, and I'm like, what is going on? So I finished the prologue, and then I'm on a second epilogue. So you decide if you want to read the prologue. For any of those of you that have not read Too Late, you decide if you want to read that prologue. Because by the time you get to the prologue, you already know who Ace is. Okay? That just pissed me off more. I was already pissed off about Asa to read that prologue. So then there's a second epilogue, and it says Epilogue to the Epilogue on the Kindle. I don't know how it is in the physical book because I don't have it yet. But you got to read the second epilogue. You have to, especially if you read the prologue, because you're going to be like screaming by the time you finish that prologue. So, and also that prologue just instills in me the characters of Asa and the character of Sloane and how I can't say anything else. I don't want to give stuff away, but it does prove to me how naive Sloane really is. And again, she's only 18, so she hasn't really lived. But by this point, like when they meet, I think she probably is still about 18. By the end of the book, the end of the first epilogue, which is really long, she's like 20 or almost 20 or something, I think. But anyway, you got to read the second epilogue. Because then at the end of that, you feel the closure of the story. And I needed that. I was fine after reading the first epilogue. I was fine. Even though it was super long, I was fine. But then I turn the page and there's the prologue and I'm like, what? Why is it back here? And I read it and then... So, the second epilogue is definitely something you need to read to have complete and utter closure. This story is just... I don't know. The people doing things that they shouldn't do and people being treated like... It was just heart-wrenching. It was heart-wrenching. And, I mean, I thought It Ends With Us was heart-wrenching. I think this one is as well. It's just, and I don't know. I guess it's more towards the side of just anger. Just anger. But anyway, so I ended up rating this book 4 stars. And the reason for it is, one, that prologue. I wish I hadn't read it. And then I just wanted Sloane to be a little different. I wanted her to think things through more than what she did. I don't think she had that mentality to think things through and make better choices. Even though she was presented with something that was not glorious to start with, but I just wanted her to use her brain more. And I was a little disappointed in Sloane. So, anyway, if you have read Too Late by Colleen Hoover, let me know in the comments below and we can talk about it. I'm dying to talk about it. This is the closest I can get to it doing this review without the spoilers. But hopefully there was not a lot of spoilers in there. I don't think the biggest parts were given away, hopefully. But anyway, if you read this book, comment down below and we will talk about it. Thanks guys for staying tuned and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.